We believe in the concept of pro-gun rights with little gun control. Over the past 20 years, gun sales have absolutely exploded, but homicides with firearms are down 39% during that time, and other crimes with firearms are down 69%. Almost every mass shooting that has occurred in the United States since 1950 has taken place in a state with strict gun control laws. The United States is number one in the world in gun ownership, and yet it is the only 28th in the world in gun murders per 100,000 people. The violent crime rate in the United States actually fell from 757.7 per 100,000 in 1992 to 386.3 per 100,000 in 2011. During that same time period, the murder rate fell from 9.3 per 100,000 to 4.7 per 100,000.
There are facts we're not being told on TV, so I want to talk to you about gun control in America. Why did all of the big media focus their attention on the attacks in Orlando and completely ignore the fact that the following weekend 52 people were shot in Chicago, a city with some of the strictest gun control laws in the country? There seems to be an agenda for gun control while ignoring the gun violence in other cities and countries where the experiment of gun control is already underway and failing. I carry a gun because there are only two types of creatures on this planet, predators and prey. No one watches a cheetah chase down a gazelle and deny that the gazelle has the right to use its horns to protect itself. But there are people who would deny that same right of self-defense to other human beings. Such people seem to think that the way to stop the cheetah is to cut the horns off the gazelle. That somehow, if you make it easier for the predator will simply go away. It doesn't work that way. If you make it easier for the predator, you get more predators. I carry a gun because when predators know they're less likely to have an advantage, they're less likely to be a predator. The FBI found that when states allow concealed carry, murder rates are immediately reduced. And cities in America that pass a law requiring households to have a firearm see the number of home invasions drop dramatically. I carry a gun because the ratio a gun is used in a homicide is significantly less than when it's used in self-defense. Firearms are used up to 300 times more often to save innocent lives than to commit a murder, and guns prevent up to 2.5 million crimes in the US every year, often without a single shot ever being fired. I carry a gun not because it's a weapon, but because it's a shield. 200,000 women every year use a gun to defend themselves against sexual abuse. I carry a gun because almost every mass shooting in the last 50 years took place in a gun-free zone. Law-abiding citizens are forced to give up their right to protect themselves, while every criminal breaks the law, including gun-free signs, when they decide to murder. I carry a gun because a gun-free zone makes it easier for predators to target their prey. Stricter gun laws make the problem worse, and making guns illegal wouldn't remove murder from our cities any more than making heroin illegal stopped addicts from doing drugs. I carry a gun because the facts are nations with strict gun control laws have significantly higher murder rates than those that don't. I carry a gun because I know in the US, scissors and knives kill almost 5 times more people every year than rifles do, including the AR-15 and other so-called assault rifles. Calling a ban a tool will not resolve the problem. I carry a gun because criminals break the law with or without them. The 9/11 terrorists used box cutters in airplanes. Timothy McVeigh used bags of assault fertilizer. I understand that some people want to blame things like semi-automatic rifles, 30-round magazines, hate crimes, terror threats, gun control, historic flags, national security, religion, or illegal immigration. I understand we want to blame something, anything that we can control. But don't blame me because I carry a concealed gun to protect my family. I understand we need to start addressing what we really want to ban: violence, murder, and insanity. I carry a gun because I know who's pushing to ban them. Our right to bear arms is not there simply to protect us against lowly criminals. I know the politicians know this, which is why they call for gun control instead of crime control. I carry a gun because I've seen gamblers who want more winnings, alcoholics who want more alcohol, and people with power want more power. I understand what the Founding Fathers knew, that the right to bear arms is there to protect the American people from those drunk with power, and I understand every country was free before it wasn't. I carry a gun because having the right to bear arms gives the citizens of this great nation a fighting chance against the predators of greed and power, whether in our home, our capital, or our neighboring lands. Evil exists only because too many good people stand by and do nothing. I know seeing America's right to free speech was a chilling wake-up call when it became locked away in a zone. That's why so many steadfast Americans and great organizations stand up for the people to keep the balance of power from tipping over. I carry a gun because it removes the unfair advantage between predators and prey. I don't carry because I'm looking for a fight. I carry a gun because I'm looking to be left alone. People can only persuade you to do something by one of two ways: reason or force. Having a gun with me removes their option to make me do something by force. It helps keep predators civilized. That's why the right to bear arms is important. That's why I own a firearm, and that's why I'm proud to say I carry a gun.
But Hillary Clinton wants to abolish the Second Amendment. Just remember that. We're not talking about change it. She wants to abolish the Second Amendment. So we're not going to let that happen. I can tell you that right now. We're going to preserve it. We're going to cherish it. We're going to take care of it. Okay? You know, they keep chipping away. They talk about the magazines. They talk about the bullets. We're going to take care of it.
All right, what is your experience with guns?
I've been a lifelong hunter. It's kind of funny because my parents didn't hunt. My dad never hunted, but I just sort of got into it. And I grew up in a time, kind of a rural area that every kid hunted. Everybody had experience with guns, it just was. And not like today's kids where it's like, shooting, like, or, with handguns and things like that, but you grew up sort of with other people hunting. So my experience with guns started at a super early age, like probably 8, 9, 10 years old. I grew up, you have to take gun safety like everybody does. I've been a lifelong hunter. I finally turned into a gun safety instructor, took a course through the Minnesota DNR, and then I'm actually was a trap shooting coach here at the high school for 4 years as well. So I've had a long experience with, rifles, shotguns, mainly hunting, and a little bit for recreational shooting.
Okay, perfect. Why are guns an important part of the American society?
Yeah, that's a great question, because guns get a negative rap, and unfortunately, I think we need new gun laws. I think we have to sort of look at ways to screen for mental illness. I think that's huge. I don't know how we're going to do that, but I think that's a necessary component. And I also think there are things we can do to, limit some of the horrible things that we see in terms of massacres, mass shootings and things. I'm not a huge proponent of people having fully automatic weapons, people with silencers on their guns, which are legal in multiple states that I'm not a huge fan of, even though I own handguns. I don't want magazines that can hold 17, 18, 19, 20 rounds. Honestly, I think that just is a situation where, yes, shooters would argue for that. I get that, but at the same time, I don't think it's necessary. But there are all sorts of things, and that would take hours to talk about right now.
Yeah. Okay, the next question. Do you believe in any type of gun control, such as background checks?
Absolutely. Like, we got to get rid of all these crazy loopholes. Like, you and I could, you come to my house, are you 18?
No, 17.
Okay, you'll be 18 soon. You show up, I could have 20 guns. I can sell them to you right there on the spot. No background check. No, I would never, as long as I ask you, hey, are you a felon? And you say no, that's all I have to ask you. So I can sell anybody a gun in a garage sale. I could meet you in a parking lot. I can sell guns to anybody I want, which I think is absolutely insane. There should be a way to track guns, background checks for people. You have to wait for damn near everything in life, right?
Yeah.
Why can't we go and have, background check, now you got to wait 2 weeks until we make sure maybe, number one, you're not a criminal. Number two, you don't have recent mental illness episodes. Number three, you haven't gotten some huge fight with your employer. Then you're going to go, and kill your employer. Something, it's the kind of stuff that we see all the time. Why don't we do stuff like that? That's what I would suggest.
Yeah, thank you. When does gun control go too far?
Yeah, and I think, my friends always worry about the government taking your guns. Honestly, it's never going to happen. It's virtually impossible to amend the Constitution. And let's face it, trying to get 60 senators and 230 plus representatives to agree on that's never going to happen. You can't do it through executive order. Nobody's ever going to take our guns away. But I think we do have to limit the fact that people are so fearful. I don't know how we get rid of that fear, how we stop people from being so freaked out about taking guns away.
Thank you. So last question, overall thoughts on gun control?
Yeah, I think we did just some really super easy basic things. Background checks, close loopholes, can't sell guns out of my trunk of my car to whoever I please without tracking them. Just super easy things that I think would make everybody safer and yet doesn't infringe on a gun owner's rights, I think is bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
That's
All right,
it.
thank you very much.
If the government restricts types of rifles or limits the amount of rounds you can buy, there is no limit to what else it will restrict. The infringement of your constitutional rights won't just stop at the type of arms you can bear. Armed civilians help take out the bad guys. One example is a sniper in a tower shot at University of Austin students for 90 minutes. The police who reacted had help. Students went to their trucks, grabbed their rifles, and shot alongside the police. Many people will figure out a way to get a weapon even with laws that are in place. For example, in 2009, a German high school student went on a rampage and killed 15 people. He did not have his own gun. He used his father's 9mm. Even in a country with strict gun laws, a shooter was still able to find one and use it. There are 10 main reasons that gun control laws are a bad thing. The first is the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution protects individual gun ownership. The second, gun control laws do not deter crime. Gun ownership deters crime. Third, gun control laws infringe upon the right to self-defense and deny people a sense of safety. Fourth, gun control laws, especially the ones that try to ban assault weapons, infringe upon the right to own guns for hunting and sport. Fifth, gun control laws will not prevent criminals from obtaining guns or breaking laws. Sixth, gun control laws give too much power to the government and may result in government tyranny and the government taking away all guns from citizens. Seventh, gun control laws such as background checks and microstamping are an invasion of privacy. Eighth, more gun control is unnecessary because relatively few people are killed by guns each year. 9. Gun control laws and lower gun ownership rates do not prevent suicides. 10. More gun control is not needed. Education about guns and gun safety is needed to prevent accidental gun deaths. We believe that gun control is not the answer because it is proven that less guns will not reduce violence or crimes. We also believe that the extensive background checks that the Democrats propose are an invasion of our privacy and shall not be tolerated.